So now we are discussing about joints. So first of all, I am telling you about joint. What is joint? Joint is a place where two or more bones meet. Okay? And bones are held together at a joint by ligament. Again, I am telling you what is a joint? Joint is a place where two or more bones meet. That is known as joint. Okay, so now we will discuss about the next, that is types. So types of joints are of three types. One is fixed joint, or you can say that immovable joints, and next one is slightly movable joint, and third one is freely movable joint. So we will discuss these joints one by one. So first of all, we will discuss about fixed joint. I am showing you the skeletal system also. So here you can see the fixed or immovable joint. So it's clear with its name that what is fixed joint. Fixed joints do not allow any movement. Okay, so bones of our skull, this is the example of a fixed joint, and the joints in the tooth sockets are also fixed. Okay, so this is the example of the fixed joint, and the main function is to provide protection. Okay, so now again I am telling you about fixed joint. So fixed joint means there will be no movement. They do not allow any movement. And the bones of our skull, this is the example of the fixed joint, and the joints in the tooth sockets, these are also fixed, and their main function is to provide protection. Now the second one, as I have written, slightly movable joint. Slightly means there will be little bit movement. So next one is slightly movable joint. So what are slightly movable joints? In these joints, a pad of flexible cartilage is present between the bones, which make slight movements possible. So I am showing the example of the slightly movable joint. So as you can see here, the backbone. So you can see the backbone. There are 33 vertebrae. Okay, so there are 33 vertebrae present in the backbone. So there is little bit slight movement. Okay, so next is, and the main function is to provide support. So next one is freely movable joints. So what are freely movable joints? So these joints allow free movement in various directions. So these are of four kinds. As I have written on board, that is hinge joint, wall and socket, pivot and gliding. So we will discuss these one by one. So first of all, first is hinge joint. I am showing you the hinge joint. Here is the location of the hinge joint. Hinge allow opening and closing of door, that is back and forth movement. So hinge joint, it is similar in our body also. They allow the limb to forward and backward. As you can see here, this is the elbow joint. Okay, and this one is the knee joint. This will also come in the hinge joint. So knee joint and the elbow joint. So this is the example of the hinge joint. So if we are discuss about wall and socket, so wall and socket joint, it is also the type of the freely movable joint. So in wall and socket joint, as I am showing you here on the shoulder and the hip, this here at the hip where the leg is joined. Okay, and here the arm, so shoulder and the hip joint. So this will come in the ball and socket. So here in this type of joint, you can see that rounded end of one bone is fitted in the socket of another bone, and the ball can move inside the socket. So these are the examples of the ball and socket, shoulder joint and hip joint. Okay, so next we are talking about gliding joint. Firstly, I am showing you the pivot joint. Pivot joint is here. Okay, so we can move our head up and down. As you can see here, up and down movement we can do it because here is the pivot joint. Okay, so all these movements are possible because of the nature of the joints between skull and vertebrae. So now after this, and these pivot joint occur between the first two vertebrae. You can see the first two vertebrae of the backbone. So it is present here. Is it clear? So now the next one is gliding joint. I am showing you the location of gliding joint. Here you can see the wrist. You can see the wrist. Okay. So this one is the gliding joint. In this joint, one bone slips over the other at the place of the joint, and it allows the sliding movement in which two bones can slide over each other. So I am giving you the example of the wrist and the ankle. Here you can see this is the example of the gliding joint. So like this I can also move my hand. Okay, so this joint is what? This is the gliding joint. Again I am showing you. This is wrist and your ankle. Okay, so this was the example of gliding joint. Thank you.